In the last episode, you added a text view and positioned it by adding rules for its constraints. Let's continue building the UI, and as we progress, you'll learn about two important parts of creating layouts in Android: adding IDs and working with string resources. Back in Android Studio, let's finish up the user interface. You add another text view so you can practice working with constraint layout. In the future, you'll generate a random number and display it in this text view. Go ahead and drag the text view to the screen. Then change the text to some number. This new text view will appear under the previous one, and we always want its position to be bound to the text view above it. So what do? We constrain it or set some rules for the position of this new text view. And these rules are: first, we want the top of the text view to be constrained to the bottom of the previous text view, so we connect it. Next, we want this text view to be centered in relation to the previous text view, so we connect both the left and the right constraints to the left and the right constraints of the previous text. And this places the random number text view at the center of the previous text view. Now, if you're confused, there's no need to worry. In this course, you'll learn by repetition, so all these concepts will become clearer as you progress. Also, if you look at the layout section of the attributes panel, you can see where each side of the text view is constrained. Next, you're going to add the spacing between the text views. For this, add a margin of 8 at the top of the new random number text view. And now we have some spacing. Run your app once again. You have two text views displaying correctly in the app. To add a slider to our user interface, we'll be using the sickbar view. Inside the views palette, type in sickbar in the search box. Then drag it into the layout. Attach both its top and bottom constraints to its parents, in this case, the constraint layout. We do this because we want the slider to be at the vertical center of the screen. Then other views will be positioned relative to the sickbar. So let's attach the bottom of the target text view to the top of the sickbar. Next, drag in two more text views. These text views will be the labels for the minimum and maximum target values. Then, attach the start of the sickbar to the end of the text view. Also do the same for the end of the sickbar, but this time around, you attach it to the start of the text view on the right. Then you set the width of the sickbar to 0 dp, which will make it match its constraints. Match constraint here simply means that the sickbar should take up the remaining available space, and that's why you see the sickbar fill up the remaining horizontal space. Next, constrain the left text view to the left of its parent, which in this case is the constraint layout. To center it relative to the height of the sickbar, constrain the top of the text view to the top of the sickbar. And also constrain the bottom of the text view to the bottom of the sickbar. Cool! We have it centered on the vertical axis in relation to the sickbar. After that, you set the start margin of the left text view to 32 dp. But when we try to set the end margin, you'll notice it can't be set. We need to constrain the ends of the text to something so the end margin will work. But if you try to do that in the design view, it will be hard. So for this, go to the code view. Then scroll down to the text view. You can see all the attributes we set. Now, go ahead and add the following for the end constraints. This constrains the end of the text to the start of the sickbar. Then we add an end margin of 16 dp. We'll do the same thing for the text view on the right. I'll add the constraints and the margin, but this time around, we'll make sure to constrain the start of the text view to the end of the sigbar. I'll do this in the XML view and speed up the video for this part. Go through the code I just added, and you see it's plain English. The layout language was designed to make the properties easy to understand. And if you go to the Design tab, all views are positioned correctly. Now, notice we have a warning on all the text views in the component tree. Go ahead and click on the warning sign of one of the text view. This opens up a panel, and the warning states that the text in the text view was hard-coded and that we should use a string resource. Now, what is a string resource and why is this warning important? Let's talk about that in the next episode.